Katrina Cass. I am the school psychologist at Sagebrush Elementary School, and I had the opportunity to facilitate our PLC meeting today. We are meeting with our first grade team of teachers. Essentially, we've put in place a process to increase our collaboration and try to be more effective and consistent in doing that and supporting our students with special needs in the general education setting. All right, so today we're going to start by revisiting where we left off the last time that we met. We had discussed, we had you guys look at all of your snapshots for your students with special education services and prioritize your level of concern based on their severity of their need.
He's doing really well when I'm able to use that phrase. I think most of the time it's still when he gets frustrated. He just has a really hard time thinking about his speech because he's so frustrated and he's just thinking about his situation. And so I don't know, he just has a hard time. So I don't really know. I think that behavior, is more like what's causing
the disfluencies, yes. And
yeah.
we did have a conversation in therapy that Mrs. Amador might be approaching you and telling you to use your smooth speech and to stretch it out. And he's very receptive in the therapy setting, but he will obviously need more practice and more prompting in the classroom just to become more comfortable with actually being able to stretch out his smooth speech when prompted by someone other than the speech teacher.
Okay, well, we'll just keep trying it.
All right, so the next kind of portion that we'll address is something that we also talked about at our last meeting. Specifically, there were several students, one in Heidi's class, one in Jennifer's class, that Lindsay, our occupational therapist, was going to be taking a look at and doing some classroom observations. So Lindsay, do you want to share with us a little bit about what you observed and any thoughts you might have?
Yeah, so I observed Vinny in Miss Meyer Pugh's class, and I was specifically looking to see kind of how he was engaged in his writing activities and what the fine motor piece of that, again, for occupational therapy consult time, but also looking at the attention piece because we had raised some concerns about that. And he was engaged in the task when I walked in. He was writing, but I noticed, other students had started, and he's just kind of getting his paper ready. He's looking at his page, figuring out what's kind of coming next. He turns his pages, and I asked, "Have you finished writing?" He said, "No, not yet." So he turned the page to his next page, and he starts kind of thinking about what he's gonna do, and he starts writing kind of slowly. So I did see a couple of different things. Part of it is a little bit of that attention piece for the written output. I wonder if he's just thinking about kind of what's coming next, or if he's thinking about a lot of other things all at once. That was hard to decipher. And as far as the motor piece, he was producing somewhat slow, but it was also controlled and legible, which was really good. He does still have that unique pencil grasp. I gave him a pencil grip to try to just, even though he writes pretty legibly, just to see if we can get a more comfortable grip on there and see if he'll start manipulating and working a little bit faster. So I'm not sure how he's doing with that pencil grip. Is he using that pencil grip?
He's using it. He keeps track of it. So, he's using it and he keeps track of it. He's doing a great job with that.
Yay, I'm so proud of him. So that's good to see. But as far as the writing piece, I do see that it could be a little bit impacted by kind of both the attention, and he produces written work a little bit slower than some of his peers. But it's written nicely, which I like to see too. And he has some good ideas on the paper.
He needs a lot of time to reflect and think, and we talked about that in class where they talk about what they're going to write about first with a partner. And so he does that, and then sometimes he kind of forgets what he was going to write, so he has to go back and think a little bit, and they have a thinking map to refer to, but he's just really slow. And I don't know, is it the attention, is he thinking about too many things? So.
All right, at this point, are there any other questions or students that you guys would like to bring up for us to address before we move on?
I have Sion, who academically he's on grade level. He's having some issues with, I think he just needs a little extra support. There's something going on at home. And it's almost, he's always been a kid who needs a lot of space, and he's never a kid who really sits on a chair like a person would, he needs space, he needs to move around, and I've given him that. But I don't know what's going on. And he said a few things, but now he's not saying as much, and, he's just not on task, he's not, getting much done. He acts out. He'll, like today, he punched someone in the arm, and that's not really like him. He feels terrible when he does things like that. So I don't know, and I just don't want him to fall through. I really need some support somehow.
So I can speak to that a little bit because I've met with him a couple of times. There's a lot going on within his house that I think he can't really articulate and fully understand himself. So we might have to talk privately too about possibly reaching out to parents, because a lot of it has to do with them. And I think that he has seen and heard some things that have been affecting him, and he's not able to really process all of that right now. Does that make sense?
Yes, because some of the things he has told me, it makes you feel terrible, and he just doesn't, he's afraid about things that might happen. So that makes it tough to come to school and be ready to learn.
Yeah.
There's some things that we might consider putting in place right now just to support him emotionally and sort of meet him where he's at in terms of maybe telling us something through his behavior, and how might we sort of build in some things to help him get his needs met in a more appropriate way. Knowing that it's probably going to be a work in progress as we sort of kind of dig in and try to understand a little bit more. But just sort of in general, I heard you say something, Heidi, about how just in general, he's a kid that benefits from having a lot of space, and it sounds like you're offering that to him because that's just what he needs. Are there other things sort of along those lines that we could put into place to really just help support his maybe emotional need right now in the classroom, or his need for connection, or?
Does he have any like preferred friends in the classroom, or? I'm thinking like a buddy
Yeah.
check-in kind of thing where.
He has friends who he gets along with. He likes to spend a lot of time alone, especially reading. He loves to read.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, he loves to read. And so a lot of times I'll just, if he needs to, I'll just let him sit and read, because that seems to help him. So,
And I think any activity that kind of calms him and allows him to be a little bit more mindful will always be beneficial. And then also, just keeping up your routine every single day. Routine would be big. If it sounds like there's stuff going on at home, definitely keeping the routine in class.
And I know we've gotten our classes together, so he has opportunity to interact and read or play games with other friends, so he feels like he has some connections with me or with some other kids that are outside of his classroom. And whenever he's come to my classroom, he's been very appropriate.
All right, just so in the interest of making sure we're on the right path of moving forward and implementing a process that's truly supportive to you all and effective in meeting our goal of collaborating more effectively, I just have some questions for us to consider as we reflect on this process that we've been implementing. So with that, when you think about your experience in this particular meeting, in this articulation meeting, what do you believe went well for you, and what didn't seem quite as effective that we might need to sort of revisit and tweak as we move forward?
Funny, come on.
I think it's nice that we all are able to share something, and then that people give us different ideas. That's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
I think the thing that doesn't go well is that we don't ever have enough time. Otherwise I think it went really well.
Okay.
I would agree with that. I really just value all of your opinions and your knowledge, and so it's really great just to be able to collaborate with you guys and have ideas for how we can help our students. So you guys are really awesome, so thank you.
And I feel like my might not all think of ideas if we just talk to the specific person that it affects, but sometimes Jen will come up with awesome ideas. And I also feel like it's a great process because it really truly feels like there's follow through and there's gonna be accountability that if this is what we say we're going to do, we really are going to check back in and see how it went and tweak it. And the fact that we can all sit down and do that together, I feel like is very valuable.